Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world, or whatever time you'll be watching this video. Oh, I've just been watching this tractor trailer trying to change lanes for a good 2-3 minutes now, and nobody is letting him in. Poor thing. He's gonna try and see, because it's all tractor trailers in the middle lane. Wow, what the heck? Nobody is letting him in. Wow. Anyways, hi guys, hi. Welcome to another video. Oh, anyways. Really. Anyways, guys, what I wanted to chit chat with you guys about, right? I've been seeing a lot of videos in recent times floating over social media, whether YouTube or mostly on TikTok. And it's a lot of people, especially the Jamaican people. And maybe there are other nationalities, but I've seen the Jamaicans, so I'm going to comment on the Jamaicans that I've seen, right? And it's a lot of them basically bashing Canada, bashing life in Canada, and so many of them talking about, like they were duped into coming into Canada. It's just basically a lot of bad press, right? Now, how I see it, life is not perfect anywhere on the face of the earth. And I think in terms of Canada, a lot of people is being, well, everybody's situation is different, but some of it I think is a little bit harsh and unfair, right? Because mark you, for us, when we're living in Jamaica, we know what Jamaica is like. That is where we grew up. That is our home country, right? And a lot of us, I find, when we want to move, when we want to emigrate somewhere else, we don't do proper and thorough research before we go. We just say, okay, we want to live a foreign, and first foreign, or the easier foreign you can get to go, that is where you go. I came to Canada, and big guys, before I came to Canada, let me tell you, I researched Canada, the Canadian website. I knew the Canadian website like the back of my hand. I knew that coming here, the program that I wanted to come here on, I knew exactly what was needed, the eligibility, everything, right? So I came here as an international student, and I have a video that I did maybe a year or so ago. That's on the channel, right? I came here as an international student. I researched the heck out of coming here as an international student, what is needed, and all that jazz, right? So I know a lot has changed since I've been here, but basically the gist of it is that when you want to come to Canada as an international student, you had to prove that you had all the funds for the duration that you're here for your studies, right? So you can apply to a college or university here, and then you get through. Number one, you have to research the tuition costs of the college or for the program. that you'll be doing, the university or college that you're applying to, and you also have to factor in whether you're gonna be living with family or if you're going to rent somewhere while you're here. Because at the time, like when I came here, you'd have to be enrolled for at least 6 months before you could get a job, right? And to get a job, when you're a full-time student, you could only work part-time. I think it's 20 hours per week or something like that, maximum 20 hours per week, right? So when you're applying for a student visa, you have to make sure that you have to have all the money for, if it's a 3-year diploma program or a 4-year university degree, you have to have all the money for the tuition for all the years that you'll be studying, right? You have to factor in textbooks. You have to factor in transportation, right? And you can also research to see if what the transportation costs will be like. You can calculate that, because if you were going to, you have student passes, and also it depends on the province that you live in. Some provinces, and it also depends on the institution that you go, whether it's college or it's university, you would get transportation would be included in your tuition, so you would get like a free bus pass. For me, I'm in Ontario. We didn't have that. We had to purchase our transportation tickets, right? And if you buy your weekly pass, you may get somewhat of a discount. So you factor in all of that, you budget all of that and see if you have all the money necessary to come here. I find that a lot of people, they don't do that full research. They don't do all that budgeting. And then when they come here now, they start complaining that, oh, they can't get a job and they can't do this and you can't do that. Yes, when you come, you want a job to, so that you don't have to be spending everything that you have. You want to keep a little something, or get a little change on the side. Because if you're living with family or friends, the Jamaican mentality is that if you stay at people's yard, you want to give them a little something towards them utilities, because you are an extra person, right? So you're going to be using extra water, extra electricity, little food, to put towards where you are. If you're living by yourself, you're gonna have to fund for your rent and utilities. So it kind of irks me sometimes when I see people talk about, oh, they come here and Canada tricked them into doing this and Canada tricked them into doing that, and you can't afford this and you can't afford that. You do your research and you know what you needed to have before you come. You cannot come to Canada with 1 year tuition or only 2-year tuition out of a 4-year degree, and then now when you can't get a job to fulfill the rest of your obligations, then you complain and bash Canada. That is unfair. I think that onus is on you to do your research. Coming here, yes, you can get a work permit as well, but I mean, all of that, you get the permit, but getting a job is not guaranteed, because there's a lot of people, job hunting and all of that. Guys, I am not saying Canada is perfect. Canada is not perfect. It is by no way, shape, or form perfect, right? I'm just being real and how I think people are unfair. Now, Canada has gotten more difficult in recent years, especially since COVID-19. And I see a lot of people are complaining that Canada taxes are too high. Canada taxes has always been high. right? We pay up to 33% of our earnings in taxes. But guess what? We see where our tax dollars go. Look at this highway. You see how smooth this highway is? We don't really have potholes, right? Once you come out of winter, yes, there will be potholes because the snowfall and when the snow plows, when they're scraping the snow and the salt and stuff, those damage the road surfaces. Yes, you will have some damage to the roads, but in quick time, quick totos, the roads are repaved, right? So that goes towards the taxes, goes towards that. We have free health care in Canada. So many people are complaining that yes, it is free, but you have to spend, when you go to the hospital, you have to spend hours at the hospital. That is a given. Well, a lot of countries. Jamaica have the same thing. Canada, yes. For the most part, when you go to emerge, when you go to the hospital, you wait a good while. I've heard people say they waited 8 hours or whatnot. I've been there. I've waited at least, I think the last time I went, that maybe 5 hours. I've never waited hours. I've never waited 8 hours. But people have said that they have waited 8 hours to get to be seen. I understand that. In the US has private health care, so of course once you have your money, you will be seen. Jamaica have free health care as well as private health care. The free or public health care, you still have to wait, right? Jamaica, I don't see where Jamaica is better health care wise than Canada, right? I have family members in Jamaica. I have one family member who went to the hospital, and they were in the hospital for 1 week before they could get any real diagnosis on what was happening. So for 1 week straight, all they were doing was pain management, right? That family member wasn't getting any real results, right? And you know how they got real results? We know somebody who we had to call that person for them to go and check on that family member, right? Another family member has been waiting to do a knee replacement for the last 2 years at the hospital in Jamaica, right? At the public hospital. And to do the knee replacement, the family has to purchase the knee replacement kit, right? So you purchase a knee replacement kit, and then every time the family member goes, you get a date to say, okay, the surgery will be done today. When they go to the hospital, you hear that, oh, one of the theaters isn't working, so the surgery won't be done today. They have to come back. You get put back on give a long date to come back. When you go back, something else wrong, and the surgery can't be done. And mark you have to pay. You have to buy the kit for the surgery, right? In Canada, if you're going in for any particular procedure, you don't have to pay for the stuff that you're going to use. You just show them, I'm in Ontario, so I'm going to say my OHIP card. You just produce your OHIP card and you get taken care of. The procedure is done. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to buy the stuff. And for the other family member who was in the hospital for over 1 week, right before they could get any real attention, everything that they needed, they had to be buying all the stuff that they needed as well. And this was at the university hospital, right? They needed to get everything. And I'm saying, if you don't have anybody, if you're a single person, you don't have chick nor child, or friends who can do run around, or anybody who have a vehicle to do any run around for you, you're practically screwed, because the person was in the hospital and every little thing that they need, they had to be buying the stuff that is needed to do the tests and stuff. And what I find, those things are not readily sold at the hospital. They have to go to CariMed or other places to get the stuff to buy. Because I'm saying, okay, I get it. If they have to buy the stuff, then have the stuff accessible at the hospital where they can just go. Then, the hospital should have a pharmacy or something, right? Go to the pharmacy or whatever at the hospital to buy what is needed to get treatment done. But no, they don't have them at the hospital. People have to find somebody, to go off the hospital to go and buy. If you don't have anybody to do that for you, then dog, name your supper. So when everybody is saying, you have to wait this long in Canada to get seen, you also have walk-in clinics. You have walk-in clinics and you have family doctors. If you don't have a family doctor, you can go to a walk-in clinic. Or if you can't reach your family doctor, you go to the walk-in clinic. Walk-in clinic, depending on what time you go, yes, sometimes you will have to wait a long time to get seen. Canada has a shortage of doctors, right? So yes, I get that. But then you're still seen. It's not gonna be 8 hours, but you're still seen. I know I waited like at maybe 3 hours at the family doctor. Again, depends on where you live. You may have more family doctors or walk-in clinics, some in some places more than others, right? So free health care, your taxes cover that. I went into the hospital. When I went to the hospital to have my baby, I paid $20, right? And that is for a private room, because I had insurance, personal insurance. But if you don't have insurance, you still don't pay anything. You're placed on, I guess, what we would consider like a ward in Jamaica. But you don't have to pay anything. My $20, as I said, was because I had a private private room. I had epidural, didn't have to pay for that. I get to understand in Jamaica, if you want epidural, you have to pay for it. I didn't have to pay for epidural here. When I'm doing ultrasound and all that jazz, I don't have to pay for it. If I'm here now and I have to go, if I have any issues and I have to go do x-ray, MRI or anything like that, I don't have to pay. I just swipe my health card and everything is done for free. Right? Canada has a lot of benefits. So when I see people bashing, you can't afford to buy this, and that also is another pet peeve of mine. Okay, in Canada, do you guys know that in Canada you can get up to 18 months of parental leave? And I'm not gonna say maternity leave, because it's not only for mothers, right? Fathers can be a part of the parental process. So if you have a couple and you want to split the time, say you want, the mother to have 9 months, the father to have 9 months, or however whatever your family dynamic is. If you're a same sex family, if you do adoption or anything like that, both parents can share the parental leave, right? And while you're on parental leave, you get from the Canadian government, you get 55% of your pay. 55% of your pay that you get from your company, the Canadian government pays you that. The company that you work with, a lot of the companies that you work with, what they do have is a top-up program, whereas they will top up what the government pays you. Sometimes up to 100% of your pay. Most of them have like between 70 to 80%. They will top you up to 70 to 80%. But imagine that if you are in Jamaica, can you go on parental leave or maternity leave in Jamaica for 1 year or 18 months and still be fully paid or 80% paid while you're on maternity leave for your 1 year or up to 18 months? No. How much is it now, guys? The last time I remember, you get 3 months and then you can get 1 month unpaid. So that's 4 months. In the United States, if I'm not mistaken, it's 6 weeks the last time I know, right? So again, when you pay your taxes in Canada, the taxes go towards that. And that is great because it allows the family to spend time and bond with their kids. If you have a baby in Canada, imagine you spend a year or 18 months with a baby, you get to bond with the baby, and you don't have to really worry about, the pay that you're getting. But it's 55% of your pay up to a certain amount. But if you get like $250,000 a year for your pay, it's not gonna be 55% of that. They have a cap which is lower than that, but it's still good, right? So that you get, that goes towards taxes. Now, with after COVID, the economy worldwide has been shot to hell, right? I hear a lot of people complaining now how grocery is expensive, this is expensive, that is expensive. But guess what? During COVID, when a lot of businesses closed down in Canada, the Canadian government was still, had a program which is called the CERB, which if your company was closed and you weren't able to work, you could go on Revenue Canada or Service Canada and apply for CERB, the program, to say that you were out of a job, you don't have any income coming in, and the government was paying you. Imagine the whole, basically the whole world shut down. By no means wasn't the government's fault, wasn't your company's fault, so you were temporarily laid off. But then you signed up with CERB and you were able to live, you were able to pay your bills, you were able to buy your food, you were able to continue living. So all that quote unquote free money, where you guys think that free money came from? That free money is because people pay taxes. A lot of people who were not eligible for that money, they still went ahead and signed up, right? And they got money because all they had to do during COVID was just sign up for it, and they got the money. So you get in that extra money and then you have your pay. But then afterwards, the government says if they do their audits, and if you were not eligible to get CERB at the time, well, then they're clawing back that money from you, and you only have yourselves to blame. Because if you know that you're not eligible to get CERB and you go ahead and you apply and you get it, then the government is going to want back their money. Personally, I wasn't affected that way by COVID because I was able to work from home fully. So I had no reason to apply for CERB because I was still made whole by my company. So I didn't apply. So all that money that quote unquote free money that the government gave away, they have to get to claw back some of the money some way, somehow, right? They send letters and stuff for people to pay back the money. A lot of it, sometimes they put them on a payment schedule, but all that money takes time. I think the last time I looked, they have over $10 billion to claw back from persons who are not eligible, right? But if people are taking a long time to give back the money, what I know the government is doing is that they're clawing it back from your taxes. So when you file your taxes, if you're supposed to get a tax return, then they take that money from your tax return. So then you don't get a tax return. So a lot of that stuff, you know, Canada has its benefits. If for any reason you are laid off from your job, right? If you're laid off from your job, in the interim until you get a job, you can apply to Service Canada. You can apply for employment insurance, where you get 55% of your pay. If you're elsewhere, I'm gonna say Jamaica. If you're in Jamaica and you get laid off, you get let go from your job, is the Jamaican government going to give you 55% of your pay until you find another job? No, you're going to now have to live off your savings. Here in Canada, you get to do 55% of your pay. And where does that come from? It comes from taxes. It comes from taxes. I don't know. Look at the beautiful scenery here. You know, with nice foliage and stuff. Look how clean the streets are. Right? All of that, you know, the cities, the government pays for all of that. You get to, you know, basically live in nice clean comfort. So where a lot of people are complaining that, you know, basically giving Canada a hard outlook, as if Canada is more expensive or worse off than every and anywhere else. That doesn't seem too fair. That doesn't seem too fair to me, because that is not the case, right? A lot of things. Wow, that's terrible. Oh, the back of that car is totally smashed in. Yeah, a lot of that. So when I see, you know, people giving Canada a bad rep, and what I notice is that a lot of us, I was listening to a video by J Progress the other day, right? And where he was saying a part of it where he was saying a lot of people are complaining that life overseas is hard and they want to go back home to Jamaica. And you know, he made a good point, right? Where he says that living in North America isn't easy, but you can always, jobs are always available. It may not be the jobs that you want, but jobs are always available. And I think that is a good thing, because you in Jamaica, you have so many people who cannot find a job. And I know that they would want a job, any decent job, right? And what he was saying is that when you're here in North America, if you don't have a job, you have so many warehouses. Warehouses are always hiring. If you have a car, you can sign up with Lyft, you can sign up with Uber to do taxi, you can do Uber Eats, skip the dishes, you can do all of those jobs, those piecemeal jobs, or not piecemeal, I don't remember the term that they call them. You can work in restaurants. There are so many ways of, again, mark you, it may not be the type of job that you want, because us Jamaicans, you know, we have a chip on our shoulder that some jobs are beneath us and we don't want to do certain jobs. But any warehouse, there are lots of warehouses and they always want people to work. Whereas if you're in Jamaica, you don't have that opportunity. You don't have that opportunity. There are not that many jobs available, so somebody can always get a job. You see how many people I see on social media sometimes, how many people are saying they don't have a work. Instead of coming on social media and begging and all of that, there are jobs that are available. People can go ahead and find jobs, right? And if you're here, it doesn't matter, you can get a job. Jobs are on shifts, so it's not like you have one company and the company is 8 to 4 and that one shift. So if they have enough people for that one shift, then they won't hire anyone else. But no, when you're here, a lot of the places, warehouses and stuff, a lot of them, they work 24 hours. So you may not get to work the morning shift, but you can get to work the afternoon or the night shift. Again, there are lots of jobs available. You just have to, open your eyes and you take what you get until you get what you want. And another thing is that what I notice with a lot of people is that, okay, you come to Ontario and you come to get your education and whatnot. Okay, you went to school, you finished, you have your work permit and all that jazz. Or even if you come here landed. But if you're finding life hard in Ontario, or say you come and you started off initially in, say, Mississauga or Brampton, you don't have to stay in the city. You don't have to stay in that province. You can branch out. There are lots of other cities further out, lots of other provinces that you can go that do have shortages in manpower, and they're hiring. You have other provinces in Ontario. It is harder to get your stay now because Ontario is basically oversaturated. But you have other provinces, that you can go, that they are readily looking people for work, giving people opportunity for permanent residence. But I find that we just come and something not going on for us here, but we are still stuck here. We are not looking to broaden our horizons. You come to Ontario and you come and you stay with people in Brampton or Mississauga. You can go places like London, you can go Fergus, you can go Oshawa. You can go further out. You don't have to sit in the one place and then start complaining that you can't get anything here, you can't get anything there. We need to broaden our horizons and know that just branch out. When I came here, I was in Mississauga and Brampton, and then certain places like Brampton insurance is so high, right? Excuse me, guys. Brampton insurance, it is so high. You see, when I moved from Brampton to where I'm living now, my insurance was cut by 50%. I'm like, seriously, I should have moved here a long time ago. Property taxes in Brampton, it's high. When I moved to where I am now, I have a much bigger space, and property tax, it's cheaper for what I have. House prices, cheaper. I mean, it's still expensive, but it's still cheaper than Brampton. And I've seen people go to other provinces where houses are even more cheaper. The only caveat is that some of those other provinces, they may be colder, right? But if you live in Canada, guys, you live in Canada, Canada is cold. You're going to have winter in Canada. Right? You're gonna have winter in Canada. And as long as you don't live outside, you're going to dress for the season. Right? You're not living outside where it is cold 100%. It's not cold 100% of the time. But we do have winter. We do have long winters. Most of the time, you know, we only have three months of warmth. Most of the time we have only 3 months of warmth. But you're gonna be properly dressed. You're wherever you live, if it's winter time, wherever you live, have a heating system, right? So you're not freezing inside. So a lot of people who are making it seem like Canada is the only place that life is hard. That's not fair. Where you live in the United States, prices are expensive too. Everything gets harder. COVID changed a lot of stuff. A lot of places. Right? So all you have to do is whatever circumstance or situation you're in, you can always change it. I mean, there's nothing wrong in going back home to Jamaica if you think that Canada isn't working for you anymore and you want to go back home. Nothing is wrong with that. Home is home, right? And there are some benefits for being home. Yeah, you have your organic stuff for the most part, but it's not as if Canada is the worst place on the face of the earth and that Canada is the only place that's hard. In the US, life is hard in the US just the same. Life is hard in Jamaica just the same. You still have people in Jamaica who are still suffering. You have people back home who are still suffering. Sometimes a lot of us, we want to look at the cheapest or free-ish mentality, but to me, I mean, you get free stuff here, but you know you have to work for it. You have to work for it, you know. But I don't think it's fair, you know, so many people giving Canada a bad rap. And I see a few videos floating around. I may do a video on a couple of those videos as well. But I've been talking for half an hour. I don't want this video to get too long. But anyways, that's just my little take on stuff. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos. You see the scenery, guys? Look how green and pretty it is. Look how green and pretty it is. Anyways, catch you on the next one.